Motark, our friends. Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here, and once again it's time for another orc mode workout, and today was dynamic effort squat and deadlift day, and this was a little bit different. Oh my god, this bar. It's a quick reminder though, if you guys would please click like down below, help me keep the likes higher than the dislikes, it would be greatly appreciated. And if you guys could just run down the row and give me a little like-see on the rest of the videos for the day, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much for those of you who take the time to do that every day. Man, this bar was tough. And I stopped at 6 sets. 6 is actually acceptable for speed squats with bands, at least according to Westside's book of methods. But I struggled with the first set. I miscalculated my bands. I tried to estimate them off of this angle based upon the same sort of triangle on the deadlift, and it was way too heavy. I ended up having 180 pounds of band tension instead of like 120, 125, which is what I was shooting for. And I did a set and it was really hard. So I had to rip it down to like 120. This ended up being 120 with these bands at this angle. And it's funny how these bands work when they get pulled tight enough. But it was 50% bar weight and actually a hair over today. I just didn't want to go under 2 plates. With approximately 25% band tension for 6 doubles, 60 seconds apart. First couple sets, I look a little wonky on these because trying to get in that groove. This bar with the bands pulling on them at the awkward angle, my God, it almost pulls me over on the way back up. So it's different. It's definitely different. It'll be nice for wave, and I'm almost thinking I'm just going to go back to using the Buffalo bar completely. It's the best feeling bar for my speed work. But I'm going to keep these in the rotation for max work. Both of these different bars for max work. I mean, I'll do some waves here and there on speed work with these different bars, just to kind of get the different movement patterns down and to feel the difference, and maybe develop things differently. But I feel like I can maximize really my development off of just sticking with one bar and just rotating bands and chains, just programming it right. The bars that I can get the best speed and stuff with and handle the heaviest weights, probably ideal for my speed work. But changing it up and using these different bars every now and then for a wave still gives a totally different training effect, right? And we are trying to always have some variation, but I think I can do that off of the other stuff with bands and chains. I eventually want to get to where I can sumo pull for speed correctly, but I'm still building the mobility to correctly sumo. And I know I had a guy come in and try to mention, oh, you need to work on your sumo mobility, like from an older clip. It's like, I'm fully aware of that. I always want to remind guys, and I'll be polite about this, I don't need your input, guys. Trust me, there are people more qualified than you who look at my stuff for me. Like, I'm talking, I do have friends who are very, very serious coaches. Anyone who's on my friends list and a trainer who's on my private friends list, you guys know which guys I'm talking about. There are some very serious elite coaches I'm friends with who post on my private Facebook and stuff. So those of you who are on there are aware of who all they are. People look at my stuff. So, and I appreciate the input. Sometimes I'm a dick about it. But I just want to remind you guys, trust me, I have people more qualified than you looking at my stuff. I'm fully aware of my own issues, and I form coach 7 days a week for my lifters. Hey, I form coach 7 days a week. I am fully aware of my various mobility and strength deficiencies, and I have other people double check them, but I'm very aware of these things, and I do know that I need to adjust some things before I can really sumo pull correctly. So that's why I'm doing deficit speed pulls for now, because I am way faster and more explosive at them, and they feel good. Eventually I want to work some sumo work back in, but I do have to work on some specific stuff for the mobility end of it, and being able to get deep enough into it. Because a sumo deadlift is basically a box squat. Okay, it's a squat. The closest thing to a squat you'll see in any deadlift. But these flew up today. I mean, the first couple singles were a little slower, but I ended up doing 10 singles. At around 50% of my deficit max and 25% max in chain weight. And so those curious on the chains, because the chains are harder to add, I get it. If you can't add plates, guys, color-coded rogue plates, I can't help you. But chains, I understand, can be more complicated because people don't know chain standards, which are standardized in America. I buy all my chains off Amazon. They're sold in the United States. I'm not driving down to another country with different standards and illegally bringing chains across the border. My chains are all standardized. So the bigger change are 17.1 pounds, smaller change are 12, but let me just give you guys the math. It's 145 pounds of chains. 145 and you count all the lead chains and everything. I didn't even look at the footage yet. Maybe the chains aren't fully lifting off the ground. It doesn't matter because I'm actually a hair over 145. I threw in another little lead chain just over in case. But you guys might see it kind of in the bundle. Main thing is as long as we're close enough. Yeah, so I'm trying to leave just about one link. I got it set just about where I thought it should have been. So we have about one link still on the ground, which means we still have over 140 on there. It's 145 pounds of chains. All right? Pretty straightforward. Pretty straightforward, fellas. But again, the speed was good. That's what we want. If I can get sumos to where they're that fast, I'll come over and do more sumo for speed pulls. But again, it's me getting the mobility down to where I can squat deep enough. The box squats will build that. I do think I have some things I can experiment with to help with that. Right? Because we have to innovate. I have some ideas. And it might involve like some isometric, like basically loading up more than I could ever max on the bar. And then strapping up and then pulling from a dead bottom position to exhaustion. So that I pull myself into it. All right, so I might do some basically just dead from the floor isometrics to work on that and see if I can help just practice holding that deep position and then pull against it. That might help, actually. But as I get good at the really wide box squats, I think that will help as well. Right, getting to a parallel box all the way to the edges of the rack. And getting strong at that will build the mobility. But it's just going to take time to get all of it where I want it. And I don't necessarily have to sumo pull it either. I've always been stronger at conventional anyways. So for me, the sumo is just about training the other movements, the other angles, making sure I get plenty of leg. Right? It's really all it's about. Just making sure I get more adductor and VMO. Be the only reason I do it. Slightly less axial. Well, not less axial, less shear on the low back. And I wouldn't be that worried about all the back training because I do so much other back training. Not a big deal. Not a big deal at all. And then we went over and did good mornings. First set, I kind of struggled to get the bar where I wanted. I'm really having to, it's hard for me to get into a low bar position. But I'm working on it, and it just takes me a bit to pull myself under it because I'm a high bar squatter for a reason. So the first set looked a little more wonky, but I got it. The first rep, I almost kind of fell backwards. I just had to learn to limit that range of motion. Now, some people are going to be like, it seems like you're not getting as deep of an angle as you were with the lighter weights a long time ago, for the really high reps. No, I'm not, and that's fine. I'm actually at for a weight that is exceeding my body weight, because this is more than I weigh at this point. And I think that's the thing people forget about when we're dealing with good mornings. When you have a strong back and hamstrings, good mornings are no longer a case of you're going to be using less than your body weight. Because a lot of you guys are. I know a lot of guys out there, you guys are like, oh man, I use 120 pounds. I don't have any issues. Yeah, you don't have any issues counterbalancing 120 pounds if you weigh 160. Okay? This is now exceeding my body weight. Not by a lot. It's only a few pounds over. But this is 230. I weigh less than 230. So I'm counterbalancing bending over with more than my body weight, and it's going to keep going up. So what ends up happening as we do this, we have to push the hips further back to keep the bar midfoot. And as we do that, we're going to end up with a slightly more shallow back angle. But I am actually still at the back angles that we want. I do know some very serious strength coaches out there who say usually 15 to 20 degrees is ideal for a good morning for a strength athlete or field athlete. I've definitely seen some very good biomechanics experts point that out for guys who are trying to get really strong. So I think that's reasonable, and that's pretty close to where I'm at. But as long as I'm strong with it, and I keep getting stronger at these 10 rep sets. But yes, the technique does have to change. As you start approaching your body weight, you're going to have to use a different form on the good morning. That's just reality. Because you have to counterbalance it, and that means you have to push your hips and things further back, which is good because that makes it better for our box squat, doesn't it? Right? Pushing the hips back on the good morning makes us a better squatter. And if you get really, really strong at good mornings, you're never worried about a form breakdown on the squat either, are you? right? So I'll actually be maxing on good mornings before long. In the near future, I've got it set up to go into the rotation. I have clients who max on good mornings. I just haven't been doing it. And I haven't done a really, truly heavy good morning in many years. Now, does that mean I've never done it on camera? No. If you guys recall, back in the day when I was doing conjugate in the early ice cream fitness days, if you guys see me do a triple with well over 300 on a good morning, yes, you did, if you paid attention. I know I'd hit on camera way back then. I don't know if I could ever find the footage again, but it's out there somewhere. People have ripped everything. I've done it one time or another, modified it. But I did 315 with chains added, with about 40 pounds of chains for a triple on camera a couple different times, But, I mean, I want to get a good morning up over 400 would be nice. Be a nice target. So, we'll start messing with it. These, I'm back to sticking with the 12-inch box, and they were challenging for 10s. It's hard on grip now, and every day is grip day for me. So people need to realize that. My grip tends to be reasonably fatigued with a lot of this stuff because I do so much grip work. I do weighted carries on all of my off days. So, again, people who are curious what my GPP is, I'm doing farmer's walks because I have those little mini Titan farmer's walk handles, right? I load those up. I do them every morning. Well, non-training days, my other 3 days. So that ends up being a lot of grip and trap work. My grip and my traps are getting a lot of work right now because I need it to make me better. I need more upper back in general. It's one reason I do these. I've got to balance all that out. So then the shrugs, I'm like, I wanted to go ahead and take that up another notch. So I went with 315. I can't do 10 reps with 315 double overhand. I can't. So it was like 4, 3, and 3, and then like 4, 2, 2, whatever I had to get. So I ended up doing 8. I think this was 3, 3, and 2. And then I did like 4, 2, 2, 4, 2, 2. So I ended up doing 3 sets of 8. My grip became a limiting factor each time. And that's okay. You get people who have been, they'll say that, like, well, why are you going to let your grip be your factor in your traps? Because my traps are still going to grow from this. Okay? My traps have been growing. I do an enormous amount of trapezius work right now. This is just icing on the cake, and it counts as extra grip training. Okay, I'm getting the best of both worlds. Getting the best of both worlds. And you know what? I need my grip to keep getting stronger. I'm going to keep hammering my grip harder and harder. And eventually it'll get to where I can crank out 10 reps without resetting with this weight. You know what? My traps will keep growing. Because remember, I do all those upright rows. I do lots of stuff for my traps. But they need to grow, but we need grip to be proportionate to all of it. It all works together. There's definitely a relationship between grip and traps. And so the same thing, I do all those loaded carries with no straps because it works both. So I'm making sure my traps are getting hit from every angle. We're hitting a contraction, we're doing stretches, everything. So, we want these different tension types and different angles, right? I'm trying to build my entire trap. And a lot of these things that people will do with traps, they're only hitting sometimes a single angle. And so some of the stuff you guys will see them talk about yoke training, they're only hitting one real angle of the trap. We really need to work all the different angles. The trap's an important strength muscle. Your traps can never be too big from top to bottom if you want to get strong. They really can't. But then again, neither can your grip strength. And so that's one reason I'm doing all the grip too. I feel like it improves helping my bench. I need the stronger grip for everything that I do. So it all works together. We went up 5 pounds on these. Now I'm doing these really strict for sets of 10. And I'm working off percentages of my squat. Right? And a lot of things are going to work off squat percentages. Because again, that's a better metric. I think deadlift percentage is not as good to use for a lot of things. Why? Because it's so leverage dependent for the person and less muscle dependent. Squat's more muscle dependent. So I think there's a reason a lot of coaches do like to base stuff off squat percentages. And so that's what I'm doing for this stuff. That's what I'm doing for good mornings. And then we progressively overload from here, right? We progressively overload from here. So I'm up 5 pounds. Up 5 pounds on this, and I managed to get 11 reps. And I'm trying to reduce the swing, and especially the last reps, get that little bit of squeeze at the top. We're being super strict with these and trying to just keep getting stronger with these while actually keeping tension on the muscles that we want. But it was a good workout today. I'm happy with it, so I hope it has been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.